You keep saying you want a better life. You say you want success, strength, money, freedom, respect. But wanting it is easy. Everybody wants something. The real question is this: are you committed enough to become the person who deserves it? Because the moment things get hard, most people start looking for a way out. They make excuses, they blame circumstances, they wait for motivation, they tell themselves, maybe tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. Then one day they look back and realize they spent their life waiting instead of building. You have to understand something. You cannot become strong while constantly choosing the easy path. Every time you quit when things get uncomfortable, you teach yourself that quitting is acceptable. But every time you keep going when you want to stop, you build something inside yourself that nobody can take away. Commitment means you stop negotiating with your own goals. Or you stop asking, do I feel like doing it? You simply do it. When you're tired, you do it. When nobody believes in you, you do it. When progress is slow, you do it. Because your life will not change when you wish harder. It changes when you decide and refuse to turn back. Commitment is what separates a person who only talks about their dreams from someone who actually builds them. It is easy to say you want success. It is easy to say you want a better life, more money, more confidence, more freedom, or a stronger body. Anybody can say those things, but when the excitement disappears and the work becomes difficult, that is when commitment is tested. You cannot build a different life with temporary effort. You have to decide what matters to you and keep moving toward it, even when you do not feel inspired. Most people are not failing because they lack talent. They are failing because they keep changing their minds. One day they are focused, the next day they are distracted. One week they are serious about their goal, the next week they find an excuse to stop. They keep starting over, and every restart costs them time, energy, and confidence. A real commitment means making a decision and giving yourself enough time to see what you are capable of. It means understanding that progress can be slow and still be real. Some days you will feel powerful, other days you will feel tired, frustrated, or doubtful. You cannot allow every emotion to control your actions. Think about the person you want to become. That person is not created in one perfect day. They are created through hundreds of small decisions. Every workout, every early morning, every difficult task, every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are becoming someone stronger. Your dream needs more than desire. It needs your decision to keep showing up. Weakness grows when you constantly give yourself an excuse. It usually does not happen all at once. It happens quietly through small choices that seem harmless in the moment. Or you tell yourself you are too tired, you will start tomorrow, you deserve a break, or someone else is responsible for your situation. One excuse may not seem important, but when excuses become a habit, they start controlling your life. The dangerous part is that excuses can sound reasonable. You can always find a reason not to do something difficult. There will always be a problem, a bad day, a distraction, or something you believe needs to happen first. But if you keep waiting for perfect conditions, you may spend years waiting. Life does not become easier simply because you keep avoiding the hard things. Taking responsibility does not mean pretending that everything is your fault. It means deciding that your response is still in your hands. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe somebody disappointed you. Maybe you started with fewer advantages than someone else. Those things can be real, but they do not have to decide what you do next. The moment you stop using excuses, you begin to see your choices more clearly. Instead of saying, I cannot, you start asking, what can I do? Instead of blaming the situation, you look for the next move. That shift changes how you think. You begin to understand that discipline is not about feeling strong every day. It is about refusing to let temporary discomfort make permanent decisions for your life. Each time you choose action over another excuse, you strengthen your ability to face the next challenge. Real commitment begins when motivation disappears. When you feel excited about a goal, taking action is easy. You wake up with energy, you feel focus, and you can imagine the future you want. But that feeling does not last forever. There will be mornings when you are tired, evenings when you feel frustrated, and days when you question whether all the effort is worth it. That is where commitment becomes real. You cannot depend on motivation because motivation changes with your mood. If you only work when you feel inspired, your progress will always be inconsistent. Some days you will move forward, and other days you will do nothing. Over time, that inconsistency can become the reason you never reach the level you want. Commitment means you continue even when the excitement is gone. You keep training when you would rather stay in bed. You finish the work when nobody is watching. You stick to your plan when there is no immediate reward. It does not mean you never rest or that you ignore your limits. It means you do not use every uncomfortable moment as a reason to quit. There will be days when your mind tells you to stop. Listen carefully, but do not automatically obey every thought. Sometimes you're simply uncomfortable because you are doing something unfamiliar. Growth often feels difficult before it feels natural. The person who keeps showing up during those ordinary, boring, difficult days develops something far more valuable than temporary motivation. They develop trust in themselves. And when you can trust yourself to keep your word, your goals stop being wishes and start becoming something you actively build every day. Real commitment means choosing your goal and stopping the constant search for an easier way. It is easy to become distracted when the path in front of you gets difficult. You start looking at what other people are doing, searching for shortcuts, changing your plan, or convincing yourself that there must be a better option somewhere else. Sometimes a new strategy is necessary, but constantly jumping from one thing to another can keep you from making real progress. When you commit to something, you give yourself permission to be a beginner. You accept that you may not understand everything at first. You may make mistakes, move slowly, or have days when you feel completely lost. That does not mean you chose the wrong path. It means you are learning. Nobody becomes skilled, confident, or successful without spending time being uncomfortable. The biggest problem is that people often want the reward before they are willing to accept the process. They want the results, but they do not want the boring days, repeated practice, failed attempts, or uncomfortable decisions that create those results. You cannot separate the outcome from the work required to reach it. Choose what matters to you, then give it your full attention. Stop comparing your progress with someone else's timeline. Stop looking for a perfect method that removes all difficulty. Focus on doing today's work properly. If something does not work, learn from it and adjust. If you make a mistake, correct it and continue. You do not need a perfect path. You need enough commitment to keep moving forward when the path becomes harder than you expected. Discipline begins when you keep the promises you make to yourself. It is easy to make promises when you are excited. You tell yourself that you will wake up earlier, exercise regularly, study harder, work on your goals, or stop wasting time. In that moment, the promise feels powerful, but the real test comes later when nobody is watching and you have every reason to break it. Every time you tell yourself you will do something and then refuse to do it without a real reason, you weaken your trust in yourself. You start believing your own words less. You may still tell other people that you have big plans, but deep down, you know you have a habit of walking away from them. That can slowly damage your confidence. Keeping your word to yourself works the opposite way. Start with small promises that you can actually keep. If you decide to spend 30 minutes working on an important skill, do those 30 minutes. If you decide to finish one task before checking your phone, follow through. These actions may look small, but they teach your mind that your decisions have meaning. You do not need to become perfectly disciplined overnight. You need to become more reliable with yourself. There will be days when you make mistakes or fall behind. That does not erase your progress. Recognize what happened, adjust your approach, and return to the routine. Over time, these repeated actions create self-respect. You begin to see yourself differently because you have evidence that you can depend on yourself. Discipline is built quietly, through the promises nobody else hears and the choices nobody else sees. Your future can change the moment you make a real decision and stop turning back every time things become difficult. Most people spend too much time imagining the person they want to become while continuing to live according to the habits that keep them stuck. They want confidence, success, discipline, and freedom, but they keep waiting for the perfect moment to begin. There is no perfect moment. There is only the decision to start and the willingness to keep moving. When you finally choose a direction, everything does not suddenly become easy. In fact, you may notice more challenges than before. You will have doubts. People may question your choices. You may even question yourself, but doubt does not always mean you're on the wrong path. Sometimes it simply means you're doing something unfamiliar. The important thing is to stop making emotional decisions every time the journey becomes uncomfortable. If you change your goal every time progress feels slow, you will never stay with anything long enough to see what you can achieve. Give yourself time to learn, improve, and make mistakes. You can change your strategy without abandoning your purpose. There will also be moments when you fail. Use them as information instead of treating them as proof that you cannot succeed. Ask yourself what went wrong, what you can improve, and what you can do differently next time. Then get back to work. Your future is shaped by repeated choices. Every day gives you another opportunity to act with intention instead of letting fear, comfort, or doubt make the decision for you. The direction you choose today can influence the person you become tomorrow.